The massive hangar was alive with noise that morning. Engines hummed, boots echoed against the concrete floor. Nearly 2,000 soldiers stood in tight formation beneath the steel ceiling, waiting for the general's inspection. The air smelled of oil, metal, and tension. Then something unexpected happened. General Marcus Hale suddenly stepped forward and grabbed a young officer's arm in front of everyone. The entire hangar went silent, not because of the grip itself, but because of who he had grabbed. Lieutenant Elena Carter. She was one of the youngest officers on the base, and rumors about her had followed her since she arrived. Some said she was brilliant, others said she didn't belong in a unit this demanding, but in that moment none of those whispers mattered. What mattered was that 2,000 soldiers were watching. General Hale's grip wasn't violent, but it was firm enough to stop Elena mid-step. His expression was hard, the kind of look that made seasoned soldiers stand a little straighter. "You're out of position, Lieutenant," he said loudly. His voice carrying through the hangar. Every pair of eyes shifted toward her. Elena felt the weight of the moment immediately. The pressure in the room tightened like a drawn bowstring. Her heart raced, but she forced her breathing too slow. Inside her mind, two voices argued. One whispered, "Stay quiet, apologize, don't make this worse." The other said, "You know why you're here." She looked down briefly at the general's hand still around her arm. Then she looked back up. "Yes, sir," she said calmly. "But I moved for a reason." A ripple of curiosity spread through the ranks. General Hale narrowed his eyes. He clearly hadn't expected an explanation. What reason could possibly justify breaking formation in front of the entire brigade? He asked. Elena hesitated for just a fraction of a second, not because she doubted herself, but because she understood the risk. Across the hangar floor, near the equipment tracks, a young private stood stiffly in formation. Most people wouldn't have noticed anything unusual. But Elena had. The private's shoulders were trembling, his breathing was uneven, his face had gone pale beneath the harsh lights. Moments earlier, Elena had recognized the signs immediately. Heat exhaustion. If left alone long enough, it could turn dangerous. So she had stepped out of formation to move closer, ready to help if he collapsed. Now 2,000 soldiers were watching to see if that decision would cost her career. "Elena Carter," the general said slowly, "I'm waiting." She straightened. "There's a soldier about to pass out," she replied, nodding subtly toward the private. "Sir." The hangar shifted with murmurs. General Hale glanced toward the formation she indicated. At first he saw nothing. But then the private swayed, just slightly, barely noticeable, except Elena had noticed it minutes ago. The general released her arm immediately. Within seconds, medics moved in. The private was escorted out of formation, his legs unsteady but still conscious. A quiet wave of realization spread across the hangar. Elena hadn't broken formation out of carelessness, she had broken it out of responsibility. General Hale stood still for a moment, his expression unreadable. Inside, something uncomfortable stirred. He had spent 30 years commanding soldiers. Discipline had always been the foundation of everything, but discipline without awareness could become blindness, and Elena Carter had seen something he had missed. The 2,000 soldiers waited. Finally, the general turned back to her. His voice was different now. "Lieutenant Carter?" "Yes, sir. Next time," he said slowly, "inform your commanding officer before moving." Elena nodded respectfully. "Yes, sir." There was a brief pause. Then the general added something no one expected, "But your instincts were correct." The tension in the hangar dissolved like a held breath finally released. Soldiers exchanged glances. Some nodded quietly. Respect, the real kind, had just shifted in the room. Elena returned to her place in formation, her heartbeat finally slowing. She hadn't challenged authority. She had simply trusted her training and her conscience. And sometimes that difference changes everything, because leadership isn't only about giving orders, it's about seeing what others overlook, even when thousands are watching. The strongest leaders aren't the ones who are never questioned, they are the ones willing to recognize when someone else was right. In the vast steel hangar, beneath the echo of engines and footsteps, a quiet lesson had settled into every mind present. True authority is not proven by control, it is proven by wisdom, and sometimes the smallest decision one step out of line reveals the deepest character. Because real strength doesn't come from rank, it comes from responsibility, and that morning, beneath the cold lights of the hangar, one young officer reminded an entire brigade what that truly meant. Courage doesn't always shout, sometimes it simply steps forward when something feels wrong, and that quiet courage can change the way thousands think. If this story stayed with you, let me know in the comments what you would have done in that moment, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories here on the channel. because the next one might challenge the way you see leadership.